Live from Hollywood Video. Hello, Adam. Can you hear me? How are you doing, Adam? Adam, do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Awesome.
You have a good week?
Yeah, it was great. How was yours?
It was good.
Good to hear. Did you do anything exciting?
Not really. I attended some seminars and but it was nothing like groundbreaking.
Stock seminars or finances?
Like finances.
Very cool. But you said like options, or what kind of subcategory was that?
More personal finance and like retirement saving
Awesome.
geared.
Yeah, that's always good to have that knowledge. Was the host decent? I mean, did you learn a lot, or?
Yeah. I'm always learning new stuff, but I like to revisit the basics.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to ever feel like I'm
Recording in progress.
advanced for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always good. You know, I always familiarize myself with the basics every week. I go back to my fundamental books and I reread stuff, and it's amazing how much you might have missed or you need to pick up on. You never want to think you're on that expert level, right? Like, like you know it all. Because there's just so much out there to learn and
I agree.
progress as we go. Hello, Mom. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I just had to close the shade. The sun was shining in my eyes.
Oh, no, not that.
This time of day, it's always so bright.
Yes. Yeah, it's very bright outside. Even though they have clouds, there's definitely clouds in the sky, but man, if you're in the solar business here, that has to be a good industry. Hello, Mary. How are you doing?
Good.
Good to see you. Hopefully your week was good to you.
It was very good.
Awesome. Love to hear that. Do anything exciting?
I actually went to this church conference, this Marian conference, and just felt like God works through other people. And I had a lot of nice experiences. So.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Shine the light in, right? And
Yeah, shine the light.
That is good.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Before we start.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
was listening to this guy on the radio talk about how other countries are starting to not want to give their resources to the U.S. to then make products. They want to, like Africa wouldn't want to give us their copper or whatever they have. They would rather keep it now, make a product there, and get more for their own country, which makes sense for them.
Right.
So would that make copper prices go up here? Like, would that be a good investment? Because it'll be more expensive for us. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. The best way I know how to answer it is the company that I follow is called Southern Copper.
It's called what?
Southern Copper.
Okay.
That's how, you know, when I would get into the copper, that's the stock that I look at. Oh, let's see here. Can you see my screen at all?
I don't know.
Yes.
I can
You see my screen?
not yet.
No.
Oh, here we go. I forgot. Okay. See my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's look that up. That's a good question here. Southern Copper. Yeah, they're in the mining field.
Yeah, Arizona is one of the states that mines copper.
All right, SCCO. So SCCO is a stock symbol for Southern Copper. They currently give a 4.5% yield. And we'll compare it to the market. That's always like my first go-to. Let's see. That's over 5 days. Let's see. I used to like to go at least 5 years out. Okay. Okay, here we go. So 5 years out, you can see Southern Copper keeps pace with the market. And in the last two years since the pandemic, they've been above the market, roughly about 60%. So that's a good sign. Relatively high on the price compared to the low and the high. See how they do on the 10-year. Yeah, 10 years out, they basically keep pace of the market. I like companies, you know, like Apple and things like that, because when you compare Apple to the market, yeah. Go out about 10 years. Yeah, see, like Apple, they crushed the market like 1,000%. I mean, if you take all the risk into one company, it's nice to know that you're going to be rewarded for the risk. Does that make sense? Like Home Depot. See, even like Home Depot's like a healthy at spots like over 300% anyway, and that's what I look for in like quality companies. We could look at the macro trend. There's a service I've been using for finding out revenue and earnings per share. And then we see with Southern Copper, their earnings per share in 2017 was roughly $1. And now they're $4 and now $3 for this year. And then we can go on the quarterly, get a better idea, see if they're approaching that $4 again. So halfway in the year, they're $1.70. So they're a little shy of that. So a pretty decent company to look at. Let's see, we got it. Okay. Oops, sorry.
Is that a free website too, Macro Trends?
Yes. Yeah, these are free tools that I use. You just have to put up with ads, that's all.
Okay.
So, not bad there. Hello, Melissa, how are you doing?
Hi.
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. How's the weekend treating you?
It's going. Which it was definitely a little warm this morning playing.
Have you got used to the heat since you've been back?
I mean, when I came back, it was pretty similar to New Jersey because it was like 90 degrees and it was in the 80s there. But now it's supposed to go up to 110 tomorrow again.
Yeah, it's been warm here, for sure. Hello, Vetlana, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Good to hear from you. Good seeing you again.
Thank.
Okay, so far we got about half of the people signed up, so I'll just get right into it. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, here we go. All right, episode 15, live stock trade part 2, 70 grand on the sideline. If you want a transcript of today's seminar, my website, makestocksfun.com. Quote of the week: if your money isn't working for you, you'll always be working for money. I appreciate everyone being here and spending time on your stock development. I want you to learn how to generate wealth and retirement income via the stock market. My name is Brian Reich. I'm a successful stock investor. My goal is to be a stock millionaire. In these sessions, I want to pass on my knowledge of wins and losses so you can enjoy the success I've had today. Last week we used FinViz, and that's we got some ideas for stocks we can invest in. Short recap on that was Tesla, Nutrien, Dollar General, Lovesac, Pfizer, and Leggett were the stocks I talked about. And always see, this week is, how to make money in uncertain times. There always seems to be there's a media blip to make us confused or stunned, like how to react because fill in the blank news event. The world is uncertain and always has been. Times are always rough. Think back to the 60s when Kennedy was shot or when Nixon resigned because more than likely he would have been impeached. While it's hard to predict what exactly will happen to make the economy crash, all I do know is that there will be a tragedy, and more importantly, are you prepared for the next big event? I don't know if you guys have thought about that or not, but is there any thoughts on top of your head, like what you feel like the next event could be?
The student loan debt bubble bursting.
Okay. That's a good one. Do you know how much that is, by the way? I know it's massive and out of control.
I think it's 1.8 trillion, the last I heard.
Wow. And the question there, of course, are the students having their jobs fulfilled so therefore they can pay back loans? I know my buddy got a doctorate and he'll probably pretty much be in debt for the rest of his life due to, his job situation or whatnot. It's just one of those situations. The good news for him, he survived the pandemic and he still has a job, so he's able to pay back school debt. But that definitely is something to keep an eye on with, being in debt, almost $2 trillion. Was there anything else worth mentioning?
If the government goes cashless and uses some other form of currency and then decides what we get for our money.
Yeah, it could happen. They have their own version of Bitcoin. And it's far-fetched, but is it? I mean, it is in our eyes. However, if there's another pandemic or something else that costs the government a lot of money, maybe it's not that far-fetched after all. So that's another good.
I heard other countries have done it, so, right?
Not totally. Everyone's U.S. dollar is still the worldwide currency, but the Chinese are always closing in. Other than that, those are a couple good ones. Anything else that could happen? how about like AI? You know, robots are always getting pretty advanced.
I can't unmute myself, but now this is totally crazy, but a neighbor of mine that I have some property at. We've been having a lot of problems with fentanyl, and she said it's coming from China. China is trying to kill everybody in America.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that. I had bought a bed, it's called Lucid, and I didn't know where it was from. I just, it's from Amazon. And I just loved the price. It was a fourth of anything else, at Mattress Firm that I was looking into. So without thinking, I bought it. I had it for a minute, just recently actually. And I heard that, my health, my sinuses were an issue, and that was something brought up to this YouTuber. And he mentioned that people are having problems due to mold and things like that. And I looked back on Amazon, and they no longer had the 5-star rating. They had people report mold problems and different things like that. So unfortunately, I had to get rid of the mattress. But yeah, I mean, it's scary, like when you think of weaker materials that can cause death, or severe injury. Something as simple as a bed. I would never think that could happen, but then it makes sense because that's where you are 8 hours a day, for every day. But I think, yeah, AI robots is good, with the technology, how out of control does it get? The thing to watch out there for, is like, can AI advance AI, right? Because right now we're in control. I mean, we want to advance now. We create apps. Humans create the AI that goes in AI, but they always talk about when is the AI or the supercomputer going to be able to develop AI, and that's where it could get out of hand fast. Other than that, the only thought would be, of course, I know this is on everyone's radar, nuclear war. Every country has their own nuclear warheads and things of that, and that could get out of hand real quick. Also due to AI, there could be a false alert or something like that, and that could cause a severe problem if we think Russia is attacking us, and maybe they're not, but we're on the defensive, as America is. We're always ready to throw down in the face of war. But those are yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say all these national disasters, if they keep happening, like Maui burning, or not Maui, but
Hawaii
island. I don't know. I just think there's so many disasters, and they're expensive to the government.
They are. Hurricanes, and I always thought maybe hurricanes, we could spend a little money in at least diverting them. Like I thought maybe we could have like some type of laser, like a cold laser that could shoot out, because they always say when the hurricane cools, then it loses its effect. That's why when it comes inland, it pretty much dissipates. It goes down from maybe a level 6 to a level 3 storm system. So, but yeah, I mean, it costs. You're right. I mean, insurance literally spends hundreds of millions, or even billions, maybe even trillions. If I don't know what they all spent on Katrina, but it was huge. But yeah, that was good. In the 80s, we have seen CD rates as high as 18% and high interest bank accounts up to 14%. Next week we'll discuss the nation's best CD rates, and we'll compare those to the stock market. When the pandemic happened, I was mentally prepared and knew the companies I wanted to buy stock in. I'd recommend, even if you think that we're far away from disaster, that you have something put aside, and every month you know what you're going to do when the big event happens. Will you be able to profit from it? Make 25, 50, or 69%, which was the low and the high in the pandemic. And keep in mind that was during basically a 9-month turnaround. So you roughly about 70% upside in 3 months, and that's just the market. So if you did like I did, pick the right company, which was like Tesla at the time, or Square. Those were two solid plays. But when the crashes happen, you basically only have a day to react, and sometimes the market will even close. If there's too much panic and selling off, the market will close. So you might only have a few hours to really react on low numbers. You know, when the Dow was 18.1, it was only like that for like a day, I want to say, maybe a day and a half, and that's it, before we got back to 20,000 and then above. My money sits and waits, you know, for the next opportunity until I find great investments at great discounts. Let's build a top 5 companies list together. Like, what companies do you feel in 2030 would have the greatest returns to the stock investor, and what kind of returns can we expect?
Apple.
Apple's a good one. I would concur with that. I just think,
NVIDIA, however you say that AI one.
yeah, NVIDIA, and they do the cryptocurrency.
What
Tesla.
about
I'm sorry?
Tesla.
Tesla's a good one. I think anytime when you have an impact, you know, right now you have high gas prices, and you have every automotive maker right now being a part of electric. So it's a really good sign for Tesla that, you know, a lot of companies, they can't ignore it. You know, they have to be in on it. And I always think of them as the pioneer of electric car. And not only that, like if you ever go to Scottsdale Road in Mayo, there's a strip mall there where Hobby Lobby is, and across the street from Whole Foods, they have eliminated electric charging stations. And not just one or two, it's like a whole field of them. So, you know, I think back to the 80s when Pepsi and Coke had the eliminated sodas, right? And they're the only vendors in town that could have that. Now I kind of look at it like maybe, you know, Tesla, as more electric cars, you're going to see maybe more charging stations go up as well. And that's just, you know, free publicity, right? Because you get a billboard with their name at night. So it's kind of cool. Anything?
What about, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
What about Uber? Because I think the next big technological like fad is probably going to be something like robo taxis or automated food delivery. You know, there's something coming that's like, we got the AI hype, and now, you know, we're seeing infancy technologies. And when we start seeing adolescent technologies, like things like that, you know, that might bring some good investing opportunities.
Absolutely.
Uber's on the forefront of, you know, anything to do with taxi and delivery.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great thing, especially now. I don't know about you guys, but I see more driverless cars. The company name escapes me at the top of my head, but I've been seeing them more and more. It's not Uber or anything like that, but I'm, you know, maybe Uber can just buy them out or something like that. But that's something definitely to take note of, because in Germany, I think they've been doing it for, I want to say like over a decade. You know, they had semis run driverless there. So yeah, I mean, basically, I know for a fact that there's 30,000 taxi drivers, and that's just personnel, you know, just people transport, and that's not even considering, you know, a lot of times you'll see Amazon delivering packages and things like that, and that would be the next thing too. So that is a good thing to keep note of. And then of course Lyft is the competitor there. So those are the two strong companies in that field. How about anything else? Number 5.
Home Depot.
Like Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot is still, it's very robust. I mean, if you did 10 grand back in '78, do you have any idea what that would be worth if you bought 10 grand Home Depot stock? All you do is buy the stock and just let it sit. No buying, selling, any of that. Just buy 10 grand and 78. Do you know how much you would have right now?
It's a lot, like 3 million or something like crazy high.
Try billion, yeah. 3 billion. Because you have decade over decade, and they're still the go-to. I mean, you think Amazon would take away tool cells where it wouldn't be so popular, but you know, they're literally, they're very convenient. You get 0% finance. I mean, I could just relate with my own walk of life. You know, when I bought a condo back in 2012, I wanted to redo the kitchen area, and it was no brainer. It was either Lowe's or Home Depot, you know, and basically they just give you a killer finance plan. You take no risk. Otherwise, what else are you going to do? You know, you have to go to the Yelp and try to find a contractor, and guess what they want? They want half down to even look at you, or they want a big rate up front just to take a blueprint of your kitchen so they can measure everything out for you. You know, all those costs, Home Depot and Lowe's figured out how to waive all those fees, and then when you're doing everything like your home stuff in your kitchen, then what else are you going to look at? Appliances or something else, you know what I mean? So they got all these product lines that go together, and they built a phenomenal e-commerce site. So whatever not in a store, you can get it right on their website as well. So yeah, I would tend to agree. Going, you know, in 2030, I think Home Depot is a very strong player along with Lowe's.
What about something like drones that, you know, deliver packages and stuff?
Yeah, that was an Amazon's deal. Jeff Bezos thought about that as well. And that is something else where, like we were talking with Uber, that could take place, where you might have drones delivering packages. And they were talking about, I forgot the year they stamped it, but they were talking about they were highly interested in that in 2015. I want to say there was some test cities that they were going to try that out, make sure, you know, the FCC had regulations. Obviously, you know, you have blades spinning on top of you, you know, so it can create like a dangerous environment, especially, you know, going to residential condominiums, apartments, things like that. But that is something that would, you know, save costs significantly, and also maybe speed things up too, right? So getting there faster and more efficiently. So that's good. Anything else? We have 6 really good ones. Anything else worth mentioning? Maybe Dr. Melissa, you got anything in the medical field that maybe some advancements we don't know about?
Nothing I can think of right now.
Okay. Yeah, I know you were telling me about gender control, and that was like mind-blowing when we had that conversation, because I kind of thought eventually we'd be kind of there. I think I heard doctors relaying information about, you know, that would be a possibility that you could predict if you're going to have a son or daughter. But you were telling me that, do you know if it's close to 100%, like predictability, or?
Yeah, I think we were talking about in vitro fertilization. So I do know a couple people that specifically wanted either a boy or girl, and they paid to select the gender of their baby, basically.
And that, do you know, like, how certain they could guarantee that, or like what percentage?
I'm not sure, but I'm guessing the percentage has to be pretty high, just because of the cost of it is pretty high. So
what is the cost, by the way? Do you know? Like, are we talking like?
It's in the thousands.
Well, yeah, I would think, you know, right off the top of my head, 25, 50 grand, or
Well,
you know,
it also depends on if it works or not is the problem. So
right.
Some people have like multiple rounds versus like, so the cost could vary a lot, and obviously some people are going to spend more money than other people,
right?
Because they, you know.
Yeah, and then also, you know, you have C-sections, you have miscarriages, you have a lot of things happen unpleasant, you know, when you're giving birth. So maybe that, I don't know exactly how they're able to mess with, you know, the DNA of it, but I assume there's some type of risk you're entering into, especially if it's a new field.
How about the stem cells?
I'm sorry?
How about stem cells?
Stem cells are always a talk. I don't know like what company that would fall under. But yeah, you hear about things like that. South Park has joked about different things that can take place and whatnot, and that's another scary one. I mean, and there's some good to it too, of course. You know, like if you need to rebuild cells, if you have injury or there's old age and things like that, and that technology also has to be rapidly just ramping up, you know, because you think of all the demand and popularity, you know, like if somebody's injured, they don't want to be in pain, right? So like when I have painful days, I pay X amount of, you know, I'd be like, just let this pain go away, you know. I shoot a number off the top of my head, hey, 20 grand, you promise me I'll never have to deal with this again, I'll write you a check right now, you know. So yeah, stem cells is another very good answer. And definitely.
What do you think about electric vertical takeoff landing vehicles? Because I know how there's been some talk about them, like with Archer getting a contract with the Department of Defense.
Archer Daniels?
Or Archer Aviation.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Archer Daniels makes too much sense. But they're just like a company that's in everything.
Anything about those wind tunnels, you know, those big windmills they have out there now for energy?
Yeah, I want to see Vestas was a big one. I was looking into that. When you drive to California, you can see a bunch of them, like the turbines and then in the water. They say they have enough wind in the Midwest to power the nation. They also say, you know, we have enough sun here to power the nation. I think both are pretty true, you know. Wind is always going on in the Midwest. Sun is always available here. But yeah, that's another good one. You could always update those technologies. You know, solar. My dad was strongly into solar, believe it or not, in the 80s. We had solar collectors. We had 12 of them. 12 7-foot cells that would rotate with the sun. We had Freon in our basement, and the electric company actually paid us during winter months to supply energy because we actually had a surplus. We took care of our duplex, not only that, but actually fed it back in the system, so we actually get small checks once in a while instead of paying a bill, which was nice. But those are always areas that people, you know, that they're always expanding on the technology, always getting better. So those are always something to look at. Adam, did you have anything else to add for electric takeoff? Like what you were thinking would change, like where we're at now versus?
Well, it seems like the technology is getting more attention recently, and people are starting to see more of the potential in it. But I think that it's too early to tell. Like I looked at Archer Aviation's annual report, and they haven't generated any revenue. They're just getting into more debt to do like research and development.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. So as far as like if you want to do your homework, yeah, you know, you have limited information.
Do you know the stock symbol offhand?
I think ACHR.
Nothing came up for me on that. Let me check. Archer.com?
Yes.
Okay.
If you Google that, that's their stock symbol, so you should be able to see the chart on Google.
Yeah, I thought I put that in correctly. Let me try again. All right, let's try again. Okay, well, what was it?
ACHR.
Yeah.
It might not be. Let me see.
Nah, they didn't like it.
It's on Google. I just Googled it.
Okay, let me try Big Charts once.
Okay.
ACHR. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to check that out. Okay, there it is. Archer Aviation, $5.78. ACHR. Yeah, for some reason it just doesn't come up. But yeah, and like how would that impact human lives? Like what is the benefit of the vertical takeoffs?
Well, it could replace taxis, especially in crowded cities where people could take a taxi in one of these things and go to their destination in a fraction of the time, and they would be more energy efficient and they would be a comparable price to a taxi.
Oh, okay.
It has a lot of potential, but it's kind of far out right now.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, the other one now we kind of skipped on is 3D printers. And the benefit I really see there is like if they could print out drugs, like in January, if there's a snowstorm, senior citizens that need a prescription, you could just print them out right from the 3D printer. And that's just one thing, obviously. 3D printers are something definitely to take a look at, and that is an industry changer for sure with all the things that could be done with it. It's already cool what you can do now for the price. It's just, it doesn't have multiple colors that are affordable and things like that. That's why I personally don't own one. I create different things and I love to print things out as models. It's just, for me, I like to just see a little more than what they have right now.
Do you think that it would make sense to buy a 3D printing index fund?
Not right now. There's a couple companies that, I think one was like, 3D, the symbol DDD. And then there's another one called, I think, Trade Desk. Trade Desk is another one I follow. And I think we're still a little too early from 3D. It's just, when we get more technology and just more people invested into it, I think, yeah, definitely take a look at it. But a lot of these are good. It's just fun when you do these exercises. You start seeing the world in a different light. You start seeing possibilities. You get excited that, when there might be a new Tesla, Microsoft, or Facebook. And you're like 20 steps ahead of the game. We talked about that a little last week. But if you can do these exercises, write this stuff down. I always encourage, using a log like I set up for our paper trade club and things like that, and just kind of jot things down. Make it like a daily thing. Kind of encourage yourself. Maybe not daily, but weekly, and just have things in the back of your mind, because all these things we discussed right now are very powerful, and they will come into play. Everything we discussed here is something that we could make a lot of money on. And we don't need big money, right? I mean, it's just timing. So right now, these stocks, like we just look at that one for $6, and if they're the next big thing, there's going to be splits and multipliers and everything else that we mentioned. But real quick, to wrap it up, last week I did I bought Nutrien, did a little DCA. I took my $82 down to $66. They're in the crop field. They help farmers with food production, based in Canada. Basically, I'm just really impressed with the earnings there. 97 cents back in 2016. Now we're over $14 here in 2022. I think anytime when you have that earnings, you just can't overlook something like that. Because if you look at the many companies that I want to say I do about 100 a day, which is very accurate. I go on Finbit every day. I look at what's out there. I never see earnings like that. You never get from $1 to 14. It's very rare. Usually you get $1 and then they have some negative stuff, negative 30 cents. It's not continuous growth like this. So they're doing something right. And then other than that, IIPR, because I'm not involved in a lot of real estate. I was in PSA. I doubled my money in it, and then I got out. So that was my only REIT at that time. So I plan on doing another 50 shares or so just to do a little DCA of that. Of course, advantage of owning dividend stocks, they do the work for you. You know, every 3 months, you're getting more growth on your stocks, more shares, and all that good stuff. You know, assets, keep buying assets. You're on your way to wealth, and you don't have to do much. You know, my grandpa, his net worth in stocks got over $1 million, and all he did was just buy and just kind of let it sit. You know, and that's it. And I like to take a couple steps further and add to it. You know, I just like to buy more on the dip. So you get a lot more shares, and in 3 to 6 months, a lot of times, you can see a great rate of return. Other than that, great seminar, guys. I really appreciate the feedback. We got a lot done. And I think if you train your mind to think of the next big thing, because I don't like to be depressing and say, you know, bad stuff or whatnot, but let's be realistic. I mean, once every 5 years we have kind of a turn down, and once every 10 years on average you have a big thing that will happen, and that's just going back over 100 years. So that's just nature of the beast. And you know, while it sucks while you're going through that time and the things that have happened, here's a way that we can profit on it, right? So it's not all gloom and boom, right? There's things that you can take, and we can at least get a little wealth as bad things happen, right?
Right.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future seminars or anything else, I'm always here to give you what you guys want. But otherwise, I thought this was a really good chat, and I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
thank you.